My dear sisters, let me ask you something gently, and I want you to answer it honestly in your heart. Have you ever loved sincerely, given deeply, stayed patient for far longer than you should have, and still felt easily replaced? Have you ever walked away from a relationship carrying confusion instead of closure, wondering what more you could have done, questioning your worth, replaying conversations in your mind late at night, asking yourself why your love was not enough? If that pain feels familiar, please listen carefully now, because today is not about blaming yourself and it is not about learning how to be remembered by people. Today is about healing the part of you that believed your value depended on someone staying. I want to talk to you about becoming so rooted in your worth, so anchored in your relationship with Allah that no matter who comes or goes, you never again feel replaceable. This is not about changing who you are for someone else. This is about returning to who you were always meant to be. My dear sister, the moment you start believing that your value comes from being chosen, approved, or kept by a man, you slowly give your power away without realizing it, because you begin to measure your worth through someone else's attention and presence instead of through Allah. But your worth was never meant to come from people. It was written by Allah long before anyone noticed you, praised you, or loved you, the day He created you with dignity, purpose, and care. When this truth truly settles in your heart, something inside you becomes calm and steady. You stop begging to be valued. You stop overextending yourself just to be kept. And you stop fearing abandonment the same way, because your sense of security no longer depends on someone staying. You understand that people may leave, feelings may change, and situations may end, but Allah never leaves you. And when a woman walks through life with that certainty, it shows in her words, her choices, and her presence. People feel that quiet strength and inner confidence, and they remember it long after she is gone. I want you to understand something very important, because many women struggle with this silently. Having boundaries does not make you harsh, difficult, or unkind. It makes you clear. When you do not set boundaries, you slowly teach people that your feelings can be ignored, your limits can be crossed, and your patience has no end. And over time, this drains your heart. The woman who becomes unforgettable is not the one who tolerated everything in the name of love. She is the one who knew where to stop. She did not call disrespect patience, she did not call emotional neglect understanding, and she did not call constant hurt sacrifice. She understood that love without respect slowly destroys the soul. Setting boundaries does not mean you stop caring. It means you care enough about yourself to protect your peace. And listen carefully, my sister. When you calmly say, "This is not acceptable for me," without anger, without drama, and without guilt, you leave a deep impression. People may forget words, but they do not forget the moment they realize you knew your value. Boundaries teach others how to treat you, but more importantly, they remind you that your heart is an amana from Allah and it deserves to be protected. There is a gentle balance that every woman needs to learn, and that is the balance between loving sincerely and losing herself completely. Being emotionally present does not mean becoming emotionally dependent, where your happiness, peace, and sense of stability rise and fall with another person's mood or attention. The woman who is truly unforgettable is warm, caring, and emotionally available, but she does not disappear inside someone else's life. She loves with an open heart, yet she keeps her identity, her values, and her connection with Allah intact. She understands that love is meant to add to her life, not replace her entire world. Because her heart is anchored in Allah and not in people, she does not cling out of fear or chase reassurance out of insecurity. This creates a sense of emotional safety, a calm, steady presence that feels peaceful rather than heavy. And my dear sister, people may forget intense emotions, but they never forget how safe and at ease they felt around someone who knew how to love without losing herself. My dear sister, this lesson is one of the most important lessons you will ever learn because dignity is what protects your heart when emotions are overwhelming and pain feels unbearable. Anyone can remain calm when they are treated well, but true character is revealed when you are disappointed, misunderstood, or hurt by someone you care deeply about. In those moments, your emotions will push you to react, to explain yourself again and again, to defend your pain, to prove your worth, or to make the other person feel the hurt they caused you. But dignity teaches you something different. Dignity teaches you to pause, to breathe, and to remember who you are and whose you are. The woman who is unforgettable is not remembered for how loudly she argued or how emotionally she reacted. She is remembered for how she carried herself when her heart was breaking. She did not insult when she was disrespected. She did not expose secrets when she was hurt. She did not lose control of her tongue when anger rose in her chest. Instead, she chose restraint, not because she was weak, but because she was strong enough to trust Allah with her pain. Our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught us that true strength is not in overpowering others, but in controlling oneself. And this teaching becomes most meaningful in moments of emotional trial. My sister, dignity does not mean suppressing your feelings or pretending you are not hurt. It means choosing not to let your pain turn you into someone you are not. It means understanding that not every emotion needs to be expressed, not every explanation needs to be given, and not every injustice needs an immediate response. Sometimes silence is not defeat, it is wisdom. Sometimes walking away quietly protects your soul more than staying to prove a point. A dignified woman understands that her value does not increase when she is understood by everyone, and it does not decrease when she is misunderstood. She knows that Allah sees what people ignore, hears what goes unsaid, and records what hearts endure patiently. When a woman carries herself with dignity, especially when it would be easier to react emotionally, she leaves a deep impression on hearts. People may forget the details of what happened, but they never forget how calmly she handled herself, how gracefully she exited situations that no longer served her, and how she refused to lose herself even when she was hurting. That quiet strength stays in the mind long after the conversation ends. My sister, dignity is what allows you to sleep at night with a clear conscience, knowing you did not compromise your values for temporary emotional relief. It allows you to look back without shame, without regret, and without wishing you had behaved differently. And most importantly, dignity keeps your heart soft in a world that tries to harden it. When you choose dignity, you are choosing peace over chaos, self respect over validation, and Allah's pleasure over emotional impulse. This is why the woman who carries dignity through pain is not easily forgotten because she leaves behind a memory of strength, grace, and self respect that words alone can never erase. This lesson is the foundation of everything. And if you truly understand it, it will change the way you love, the way you give, and the way you cope with loss. Many women attach their hearts to people without realizing it. They begin to rely on someone's presence to feel calm, on someone's words to feel reassured, and on someone's attention to feel valued. Slowly, without intending to, their emotional balance becomes tied to another human being, someone who is imperfect, limited, and capable of leaving. And when the heart is attached this way, even small changes can cause deep pain. A delayed message creates anxiety, distance creates fear, and silence creates self doubt. But, my dear sister, Allah did not create your heart to depend on people for stability. He created your heart to depend on Him. When a woman attaches her heart to Allah first, her entire inner world changes. She still loves deeply, but her love no longer comes from fear of abandonment. She still cares, but her peace no longer collapses when people disappoint her. She understands that people are a means, not a source, and that no human being was ever meant to carry the weight of her emotional security. Attaching your heart to Allah means you turn to Him before anyone else when something hurts you. It means when you feel confused, rejected, or unappreciated, your first instinct is not to chase answers from people, but to seek comfort from Allah. You sit on your prayer mat with tears instead of carrying your pain into endless conversations. You raise your hands in dua instead of constantly questioning your worth. You remind yourself that Allah sees what people overlook, knows what you never said out loud, and understands your intentions even when others misunderstand you. This connection gives your heart a deep sense of safety because you are no longer emotionally homeless. You have a place to return to, no matter who comes or goes. My sister, a heart attached to Allah becomes calmer in love and stronger in loss. When a relationship is going well, she does not idolize the person or forget Allah. And when a relationship ends, she does not collapse because her foundation was never built on that person to begin with. She understands that love is a blessing, not a lifeline. This awareness protects her from emotional extremes. She does not become overly attached when things are good, and she does not become hopeless when things fall apart. Her reactions are balanced because her heart is anchored. And this balance is something people feel very strongly. They feel that she is emotionally present but not demanding, loving but not draining, warm but not overwhelming. That emotional stability is rare, and rare things are not easily forgotten. Attaching your heart to Allah also changes how you respond to disappointment. Instead of asking, "Why am I not enough?" you begin to ask, "What is Allah teaching me through this?" Instead of blaming yourself or chasing closure, you trust that Allah removes what harms your heart, even if it hurts at first. You begin to understand that unanswered prayers, closed doors, and endings are sometimes forms of protection. This trust does not make the pain disappear immediately, but it gives the pain meaning. And pain with meaning is easier to carry than pain without purpose. My dear sister, when your heart is attached to Allah, you stop expecting people to heal wounds they did not cause and to fill emptiness they were never meant to fill. You stop demanding perfection from human beings, and in doing so, you free both yourself and them. You love with compassion instead of expectation. You forgive more easily because your heart is not desperate for validation. You walk away with less bitterness because you trust that Allah is just. This spiritual maturity makes your presence feel peaceful because you are not emotionally pulling from others, you are emotionally giving from a place of fullness. And this is why a woman connected to Allah leaves a deep and lasting impression. People may not know why being around her feels calming, but they sense that she is not emotionally dependent on them. They sense that her peace does not rise and fall with their behavior. They sense that she has an inner strength that does not come from circumstances. And when such a woman leaves, her absence is felt deeply because she did not leave chaos behind. She left tranquility, sincerity, and emotional safety. My sister, attach your heart to Allah first, and everything else in your life will find its proper place. When Allah is at the center, people are loved correctly, losses are carried with dignity, and your heart remains whole no matter what changes around you. I want you to listen to this lesson with great care, because fear of being alone has quietly kept many women stuck in places that slowly broke their hearts. Many women do not remain in painful relationships because they are happy they remain, because the thought of being alone feels more frightening than the pain they already know. Fear of solitude can slowly push you to tolerate neglect, accept emotional inconsistency, silence your needs, and convince yourself that this is the best you can have. But my sister, being alone is not a punishment, and it is not a sign that you are unwanted. Being alone is often a place of protection, healing, and rediscovering who you are. The woman who does not fear being alone carries a deep inner strength because her sense of worth is not tied to constant companionship, attention, or validation. She understands that peace with herself is far more valuable than being surrounded by someone who makes her feel unseen, unheard, or emotionally unsafe. When a woman fears being alone, she may stay where she is not appreciated because loneliness feels heavier than disrespect. She may accept mixed signals, broken promises, and emotional distance, telling herself that patience means endurance even when her heart is exhausted. Over time, she starts shrinking. Her voice becomes quieter, her needs feel like a burden, and her standards slowly lower. She may even begin to believe that asking for basic respect is asking for too much. But the woman who has learned not to fear solitude understands something very important. Loneliness inside a relationship is far more painful than physical solitude. Being alone gives you space to breathe. Being with the wrong person slowly suffocates the soul. My sister, learning not to fear being alone does not happen overnight. It begins when you reconnect with yourself and, most importantly, with Allah. When a woman builds a strong relationship with Allah, solitude no longer feels empty, it feels meaningful. The quiet moments become a place of reflection instead of fear. You begin to understand your emotions instead of drowning in them. You start hearing your own thoughts clearly instead of constantly adjusting yourself to someone else's expectations. Solitude becomes the space where Allah heals what people damaged, where He replaces confusion with clarity, and where He strengthens parts of you that were weakened by neglect. When your heart is attached to Allah, being alone does not mean being abandoned, it means being held. A woman who is comfortable being alone does not chase love out of fear. She does not beg for effort. She does not stay in situations where respect is inconsistent or where her emotional needs are repeatedly ignored. She understands that love should bring peace, not anxiety, reassurance, not constant doubt, safety, not fear of loss. Because she is not afraid of solitude, she is able to love freely and sincerely. She gives without desperation and receives without clinging. She stays because she is valued, not because she is afraid of being alone. And if she must leave, she leaves with dignity, trusting that Allah will not abandon her just because a person did. My dear sister, the woman who does not fear being alone carries a quiet confidence that people feel immediately. She does not threaten to leave to be valued, and she does not stay to avoid loneliness. She knows that her life has meaning beyond one relationship, one role, or one person. She has purpose, faith, and self respect. She understands that Allah sometimes removes people from our lives not to punish us, but to protect us from slowly losing ourselves. When she walks away, she does not create chaos, spread bitterness, or seek revenge. She walks away calmly, trusting Allah with the outcome and believing that what is meant for her will find her. And my sister, when someone realizes they lost a woman who knew how to stand alone, a woman who did not beg to be chosen, who did not collapse when things ended, who chose dignity over fear and peace over noise, that realization stays with them. They remember her strength. They remember her calm. They remember that she did not trade her self respect for companionship. That memory lingers because it reflects something rare. A woman who knew her value and trusted Allah enough not to settle for less. My dear sister, do not fear being alone. Fear losing yourself while trying to keep someone who was never meant to stay. My dear sister, this lesson may be one of the hardest to practice, but it is one of the most powerful because how you leave a situation often leaves a deeper mark than how you entered it. Many women believe that when a relationship ends, they must make their pain visible, their anger loud, and their hurt undeniable in order to be understood. They feel the urge to explain themselves one last time, to defend their intentions, to prove their sincerity, or to make the other person finally see how much they lost. But my sister, the woman who is truly unforgettable, is not the one who leaves behind chaos. She is the one who leaves behind reflection. She understands that not every ending needs noise, not every pain needs an audience, and not every truth needs to be spoken to the person who caused the wound. Leaving with peace does not mean you were not hurt. It does not mean you did not care deeply. It means you chose to protect your heart and your dignity instead of feeding the pain. When emotions are high, the nafs pushes you to react, to send long messages, to reopen conversations that Allah already closed, to seek validation from someone who no longer has access to your heart. But peace teaches you restraint. Peace teaches you to pause and ask yourself, will this bring me closer to healing, or will it keep me stuck? The woman who leaves with peace understands that some doors are closed by Allah not because you were unworthy, but because staying would have slowly damaged your soul. My dear sister, leaving with peace also means accepting that not everyone will understand your decision and not everyone will see your value immediately. And that is okay. A dignified woman does not chase understanding from people who were committed to misunderstanding her. She knows that Allah sees what was hidden, knows what she endured silently, and knows how much patience her heart carried. Our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught us the importance of good character, even in moments of hardship. And this lesson shines most clearly when we choose calm over conflict, silence over argument, and trust over revenge. Living with peace is an act of deep faith, because it means you trust Allah to deal with what you could not fix. When a woman lives with peace, she does not poison her heart with hatred. She does not replay the past endlessly, asking herself what she could have done differently. She allows herself to grieve, but she does not allow grief to turn into bitterness. She understands that closure does not always come from conversations. Sometimes it comes from acceptance. Acceptance that this chapter has ended. Acceptance that Allah's wisdom is greater than her understanding. Acceptance that what is meant for her will never pass her by, and what passed her was never written to remain. My sister, there is great strength in leaving quietly. Silence is not weakness when it is chosen with intention. Sometimes silence is a form of self-respect. Sometimes it is an act of worship. Sometimes it is the heart saying, I trust Allah more than I trust my emotions right now. When you leave with peace, you give yourself the space to heal properly. You stop reopening wounds that Allah is trying to close. You stop carrying emotional weight that was never yours to carry alone. And slowly, very slowly, your heart begins to feel lighter. The woman who lives with peace also leaves behind a standard. She teaches people how she expects to be treated not through arguments but through her absence. She does not need to announce her boundaries loudly. Her calm exit speaks for her. People may not realize the value of her presence immediately, but they feel the emptiness when it is gone. And that feeling does not come from drama or confrontation. It comes from the quiet realization that they lost someone who brought sincerity, emotional safety, and dignity into their life. My dear sister, leaving with peace does not mean you erase the memories or pretend nothing mattered. It means you place those memories where they belong in the past, and you stop allowing them to define your future. You learn from what happened without living inside it. You grow without becoming hardened. You move forward without carrying resentment. And this balance is rare. It is the balance of a woman who has matured through pain instead of being destroyed by it. And here is a truth many people do not realize until it is too late. The woman who leaves with peace is often remembered the longest. Not because she made noise, but because she did not. Not because she begged, but because she did not need to. Not because she caused chaos, but because her absence created silence, and silence forces reflection. My sister, sometimes Allah removes you from someone's life so they finally have the space to realize your value. And sometimes that realization comes long after you have healed and moved on. So, my dear sister, if you ever find yourself at an ending, remember this lesson. Leave with peace, leave with dignity, leave trusting Allah. Because when you do, you are not losing, you are being protected, refined, and prepared for something better. And a woman who leaves with peace leaves behind something unforgettable, the memory of grace, strength, and quiet faith. My dear sister, as we come to the end of this reminder, I want you to pause for a moment and breathe. Everything you have heard today is not meant to make you feel heavy, guilty, or pressured to become someone else. It is meant to bring you back to yourself, the self Allah created with dignity, depth, and purpose. Being unreplaceable is not about doing more, giving more, or enduring more pain in silence. It is about becoming whole. It is about knowing your worth comes from Allah, protecting your heart with boundaries, loving without losing yourself, carrying dignity through pain, attaching your heart to Allah above all else, not fearing solitude, and leaving situations with peace rather than chaos. My sister, when you live this way, something changes inside you. You stop chasing love because you are no longer empty. You stop fearing loss because your heart is anchored. You stop questioning your value because you know who defined it. And people feel this. They feel your calm, they feel your strength, they feel your sincerity. And whether they stay or leave, you walk away whole, not broken, not bitter, not diminished. Remember this deeply. You were never created to be easily replaced. You were created to be honored, protected, and valued first by yourself and most importantly by Allah. Do not measure your worth by who stayed or who left. Measure it by how close you are to Allah, how much peace you carry in your heart, and how faithfully you live according to your values. When Allah is pleased with you, it does not matter who misunderstands you. When Allah is with you, it does not matter who walks away. So, my dear sister, walk forward with faith. Choose dignity over desperation. Choose peace over panic. Choose Allah over fear. Because the woman who is close to Allah does not need to prove her value, her presence speaks for itself, and her absence teaches a lesson. And that, my sister, is what makes a woman truly unforgettable.